Alrighty, g'day, welcome back everybody to yet another video. To be honest, I just recorded like 5 minutes of this and I realized the audio just was not working, so that's fantastic. So basically, recently, obviously, the road ahead for 2021 July just dropped, and a lot of people had a lot of mixed opinions, and I know a lot of people have shared their thoughts on the state of the game and the future of the game. But honestly, I might save that for another time because today we're just hopping right into the Lord Vader predictions for his event, his character requirements, and all that good stuff. Now, obviously, CG just released the 6 of the 15 requirements. I assume 15 requirements for Lord Vader, and that was obviously General Skywalker at Relic 8, who's in Group 3, and then they released the whole of Group 1, which is Padme, Tusken Raider, Hunter, Tech, and Wrecker. So that was 6 of them that got released, which leaves us about 9 to play with, to fiddle around, to make our predictions, and yeah. So essentially, to sort of give some basis, not just spit out some wild predictions, I want to sort of compare the potential for this event to be related to the Jedi Master Kenobi event, because obviously they're counterparts, right? So of course, Jedi Master Kenobi's Phase 1 was it was sort of the storming on Utapau. Phase 2 was General Grievous battle on Utapau, and Phase 3 was obviously returning to the temple with Grand Master Yoda and taking out the remaining clones and all that sort of good stuff. And so I think it's going to be in a fairly similar format when it comes to Lord Vader's event, in the sense that I believe that it will be 2 sort of like scenes, except one of them for 1 phase of the event and one of them for 2 phases. In the sense that, like, I reckon Phase 1's going to be sort of the Count Dooku fight at the start of Revenge of the Sith when they had to rescue the Chancellor. I can definitely see that happening as definitely Phase 1. For Phase 2, I'm a bit torn because it could definitely be the throne room scene where Sidious gets arrested and then Anakin ends up killing Mace. But we've already seen that in the Sith Eternal Emperor event, so I don't really think that they would rinse that. So I'm almost tempted to say that the storming on the Jedi Temple is going to expand over 2 phases, and that's basically my prediction for that. And so if that's what the event's going to shape up to be like, I can sort of make some pretty good predictions based off of that. I mean, obviously, there's always going to be a few curveballs. We all know that with Galactic Legend requirements. Nobody's ever guessed all 15 or whatever correct. So, yeah. Alright, moving into the requirements. So, the second batch, I'm predicting, obviously, I don't know which 5 are going to be announced, but like basically these 9 are the ones that I'm going to be talking about. So Phase 2, I'm saying Count Dooku. I would take that one to the bank, to be honest, because I can almost guarantee that fight is going to be part of the event. Number 2, we have obviously Darth Sidious, a huge influence on Anakin Skywalker, and I know they are both Sith Eternal requirements, but they're just both so integral to Lord Vader's story, and I can't see them not being required. I would argue Dooku is more likely than Sidious, though, to be honest. Next one, ARC Trooper. It might look a little bit weird at first, but the storming on the Jedi Temple for phases 2 and 3 of the event, as I'm predicting, definitely going to be needing ARC Trooper, because they're not going to make you do like a 1v5, you know what I mean? Sort of similar to the Kenobi event, obviously. You had Commander Cody, and then you had like the clones that they gave you to use for the event. So I think it would be something along those lines, except with ARC Trooper, obviously, because he's sort of the generic 501st clone. Next one, we have B2 Super Battle Droid, because if you remember in the Dooku fight scene, he actually just pulled up with 2 Super Battle Droids, I believe, and they took him out before taking Dooku out, but I reckon they'll be a part of that scene of the event as well, if that makes sense. And obviously for Jedi Master Kenobi, they've already got like the Grievous droid requirements, so it would kind of make the full team if you wanted to farm up both Galactic Legends, sorry. And obviously, finally here I have put Jedi Knight Guardian, and I really do think that they are going to be required. I'll get into my alternatives and flex spots after, but I really do think Jedi Knight Guardian is going to be a part of the Phase 2 storming on the temple sort of thing. Alright, now hopping into Phase 3, I just kind of grouped most of the event potential characters into the second group, and third group I made it more like Anakin characters, right? Like obviously we know General Skywalker up at Relic 8 is going to be required. But next I'm actually going to be putting Barriss Offee. Obviously they had that whole standoff in the Clone Wars. If you haven't watched Clone Wars, I don't know what you're doing. Just please go click off right now, go watch it. Fantastic show. But obviously, spoiler alert, she was the traitor, ratted Ahsoka out, all that good stuff. So they had that whole fight, and yeah. Next, a lot of people aren't going to like this one, but Commander Ahsoka Tano, I seriously don't see a world in which she doesn't appear as a requirement. Is she, like, you can't not have an Ahsoka requirement for an Anakin, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it doesn't make sense. It's like discluding Padme. It's not going to happen. And obviously, Commander Ahsoka is fresh, and one thing I've noticed with CG kind of recently is that they are trying to move away from the whole, like, oh, you can just rush a GL. I mean, obviously that's why they included Relic 8s in here. But to add on top of that, I mean, players like myself, I'm at 3.4 million GP. I've been getting Relic 8 materials for a long time now. I'm sure they're going to try and gate wall like me, for example, by making Commander Ahsoka Tano a bloody requirement, because obviously I'm at 80 out of 330 shards, so I've got a long way to go, you know what I'm saying? Next one we have Zam Wesell. I know this might look a little bit strange again, but CG requirements are usually pretty strange. And obviously they had that whole standoff in episode 2, sort of similar to the way that Cad Bane or Jango Fett were required for Jedi Master Kenobi in the previous set of requirements. And then finally, Captain Rex, obviously Anakin's right-hand man. Bit of a no-brainer for me, to be honest. I can't see him not being a requirement. Up at Relic 7, I would imagine too. Alrighty, now moving into the flex spots. So first off, we have Asajj Ventress. Obviously, they had a lot of connection in the Clone Wars. I can definitely see her being a requirement, maybe in place of Sidious, for example. I don't think she'll appear in the event at all, but I mean, like, Jedi Master Kenobi, only, like, what, 3 or 4 of his requirements were actually in the event, so, I mean, I wouldn't put it past CG, you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to touch on was I do not think Anakin is going to have a ship requirement. I know it's custom for, like, GLs to have sort of these counterpart things, but the way that they've set it up is that, I mean, like, it just wouldn't make sense for Malevolence to be an Anakin requirement, right? I know a lot of people are like, oh, the CG doesn't make sense anyways. But they actually kind of do, because for Jedi Master Luke, for example, I mean, okay, well, let's bring it back to the originals, right? Kylo and Rey both needed Raddus and Finalizer as their ships, alright? Those were both in the third segment of announcements for the requirements, and yeah. Moving on to Jedi Master Luke and Sith Eternal Emperor, TIE Bomber and Rebel Y-Wing were actually both in Group 2. And now, obviously, when you have Jedi Master Kenobi and Lord Vader, the Negotiator was required in Group 1 of the Jedi Master Kenobi requirements. And obviously, we've already revealed Group 1 for Lord Vader, and there are no ships. So, I'm kind of taking it as, like, General Skywalker is a ship requirement in himself, because you do need a whole, like, fleet to beat his event, and obviously need him as a Relic 8 already. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking that Lord Vader is sort of similar to JML in the sense that it's a lot of effort because obviously JML you need JKL, Lord Vader you need General Skywalker. Both, I've just realized this has been in the frame the whole time. It's the lamp. Lol. Yeah, and I feel like they're going to be very heavy on the requirement side, but definitely with some overlaps to make it easier, and like a lot of good characters per se. Alright, moving on to Newt Gunray. Newt Gunray, I can see him, like, he's one of those characters where it's like, he kind of relates to Anakin, but not really, you know, like the way that Wat Tambor was a requirement for Jedi Master Kenobi, you know what I'm saying? Next up, R2-D2. It's a bit of a surprise why I didn't include him on the original list, because I feel like there's a strong chance R2 is his boy, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know, part of me was just a bit hesitant. Just skip down the list as well. C-3PO, same kind of reasoning. I mean, he's kind of already a requirement for gas, and then R2 is also a requirement for Jedi Master Luke as well. I know there are obviously double ups, but I'm not 100% convinced with those two. Moving on, next one, we have Droideka. Pretty sure there were Droidekas in the whole Count Dooku scene once again. So nothing too deep there. Next up, we have Bad Batch Echo. Obviously, Echo, great mates with General Skywalker. But only thing is, like, they've already had 3 of the Bad Batch, which aren't even going to be like sped up farming, and they're kind of like the marquees per se. So I don't really see them having another one. But if there was going to be another one, it would not be an Omega. It would be Echo. Next one, Fives. Once again, pretty self-explanatory stuff, you know. Fives are really close to the 501st and all that good stuff in the Clone Wars. Next one is an actual like direct addition or flex spot for the requirements. I do think Jedi Consular could be in place of Jedi Knight Guardian, or they could both be needed for the whole storming of the temple sort of phase in the event. Next up, we have Aurra Sing and Ember, and I know you might be like, but once again, there are some weird requirements in there, and it's true that Aurra Sing did have some good interactions with Anakin in the Clone Wars TV show. Same goes for Ember, so I could definitely see both of them in the same way that Cad Bane was a requirement for Master Kenobi. And yeah, so that brings us to the end of the list. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if I missed anybody, if I got anything wrong. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.